Okay, we're going to get started in just a moment.
I just have to say I can't stop smiling because I'm so happy to see everybody. Oh. Hello, everybody. I have to break the silence. I'm sorry.
It really is good to see everybody. That I will definitely agree. I love it. We have 21 participants. So Susan, you let me know if you want to get started now or if you want us to wait a few more seconds, give people a better chance. You let me know.
I'm at your mercy. So whatever you all want to do, I'm at your mercy.
I think we should get started then. Okay, so what I'm going to do is for right this second, Susan, I'm going to stop the share just so that I can be on the screen, just so everybody can kind of see us and all that. You know what? Actually, no, I'm not. I'm just going to leave it be. So how are we doing, everybody? Welcome to the 25th annual First Virtual Conference. I'm Sherry Wall. I'm the moderator for today's session. So if you have any questions about the conference at all, please, you can message me directly in the chat below, okay? Yes, I am recording right now. So if you have any questions, you can message me directly in the chat below. If you have questions for the presenter, I'm gonna ask you to either hit raise your hand or you can write it below and I will let Susan know when you have a question. So before you begin, I'm going to ask everybody to please mute your mics unless you are asking a question or you're participating in the discussion, which we hope everybody's going to do. So on top of that, we're going to ask you all to please turn off or silence your cell phones or your communication devices, as well as refrain from using these devices during the session. So if you're seeking CEUs for this session, you're going to receive 1.5 CEUs at the end. What's going to happen is, there's two requirements. What I'm going to do at the end, I'm going to tell everybody when Susan is finished, please comment your name below. Okay, when you hit comment, you're going to just write your full name. Additionally, I am going to send a link in the chat itself that will be the attestation form. For every session that you attend, you need to fill out the attestation form so that you get credit. It's going to go to a Google Drive. What happens is if you don't have a Google or Gmail account, it's super easy to create one. All you have to do is go in, click that you were there, put your name, your CTRS number, all of that kind of stuff.
CTRS, oh no, what's my CTRS number?
Linda, I'm going to mute you. Okay, so what's going to happen is from there, it's going to go into a spreadsheet and we're going to put it all together.
I'm raising my hand.
Jessica.
You can find your CTRS number on the NCTRC website by going to the portal and looking up your name if you do not know what it is.
You can even search it in the actual search verification. It'll show up with the number as well. So at the end of the conference, NYSTRA is going to send a proof of attendance to everyone who registered for the conference. But if you need proof of attendance earlier, meaning you've watched all the stuff you want to watch by, let's say, Wednesday, all you have to do is email me at nystra2021@yahoo.com and let me know that you've completed and that now you would like the proof of attendance, okay? But what's going to happen is you'll be able to view everything until June 13th. So if I don't hear from anybody, that's when you're going to receive the proof of attendance, okay? The CEU information will not be sent until June 13th at least. From there, ATRA will then bring it and send you your form, okay? So today's session is titled Driving Forward in the DeLorean while using the Rearview mirror. And I'd like to introduce our speaker extraordinaire, our keynote speaker, Professor Susan Wilson. She is a doctor. She has a PhD and a CTRS. She is an associate professor at SUNY Cortland. She received her PhD from Clemson University in 1998, and she celebrates her 30th year of being a CTRS in 2020, as well as her 22nd year of being a NYSTRA member. Yay! Susan is proud to have been NYSTRA's president and even prouder to have educated many of its members. The celebration of NYSTRA's anniversary is significant to her because because of the many friends that the organization gave her over the years. She's a passionate member of her community. She includes professional organization and play and what they play in her life. I'm sorry. She maintains contact with her students and cultivates relationships with Cortland softball players. And she currently represents her neighbors as a Cortland County legislator. So without further ado, I am going to hand it over to Dr. Susan Wilson for our keynote address. Thank you, Susan.
Thank you. So good afternoon, all. This is weird. And so let's just all acknowledge that this is weird and that I would much rather be on a stage walking around. If you know me, you know I like to walk around when I give a presentation. I would much rather be on a stage giving a presentation, looking at your faces. This is going to have to do. And I'm kind of scrolling through and I love where you are, Annette. I see you in your backyard. And I love where you are. I love that you're all doing it. I love that my good friend Denise is on here. Hello, Denise. And I love that I see all of you folks. NYSTRA has such I might cry. NYSTRA has such a special place in my heart. And some of my early years of being a professor was spent in NYSTRA meetings. Most of you know Kim Kiernan, who was one of our best friends who passed away and solidified people like Denise and Judy and Noelle, and I could name everybody in NYSTRA in my heart forever. So just I have a passion for this. I want to acknowledge something. So this morning I was getting ready and I have a girlfriend that lives with me now since COVID, and we'll not talk about that. We'll just skip over that part, but don't start a relationship in COVID. And Sherry said to me this morning, "Are you always this nervous?" Because I apparently was a little bit of a bear this morning. And I said, no, I'm not. This is very new. Usually I get to see you, I get to hear your chuckles, I get to do all of that kind of thing. And I feed off of that. And I'm not going to be able to feed off of that today. So that's a little bit of a bummer for me. But I'm going to try and capture NYSTRA for you all. So having said that, this presentation was put in somewhere around the 11th or 12th of February 2020. So I say that because of a few things, and we'll talk about those few things. I'm not going to ignore the elephant in the room. I'm not going to pretend that this is a normal NYSTRA. I'm not going to pretend that this is a normal presentation. This is a presentation based on what we've been through the last year. It was not intended to be that, but it is now. So, okay, yeah, okay. So originally, these were the objectives. The objectives were to be able to identify at least one strategy that they will use to attach meaning as motivation in their programs. I wanted to talk about meaning. Individuals will be able to identify at least two benefits of using best practices or evidence-based practice, and individuals will be able to identify at least one strategy to use in advocacy. This was originally intended to be the end note. And when I go to a conference, I want the end note to send me running, not because they're bad, but I want them to send me running back to my office to do good work. And so that was my original thought. So the presentation proposal was a different time and a different place. There were going to be movie clips and lab coats. There was going to be crazy hair. There was going to be bad puns about Back to the Future. Jackie Dyke, who's my colleague here at Cortland now, was going to dress up like Marty McFly. There was a lot we were talking about, right? And the focus was going to be on NYSTRA and how it has helped shape our profession. And as I said, this presentation is going to be a little bit different because we're going to talk about the lessons of the last year and how we can use that to propel ourselves forward. So you're going to have to put up with this. And by the way, I did not notice today when I grabbed a shirt because I was wearing a Cortland softball shirt. I'm in my office at work. I was wearing a Cortland softball shirt because we're playing for the SENIAC championship right now. And I had to grab a shirt because I couldn't wear a Cortland softball shirt on my presentation. Well, I could, but I didn't want to. But I'm now wearing the same shirt I'm in this picture. But you're going to have to, I want to take you back to 2020. And I'm sorry to do this to some of you. If you have to mute me for a while, you can. I just want to say this. I put in my presentation and about 16 days later, I was headed to British Columbia. Douglas College in British Columbia was having their 40th anniversary. Susan Purrington, who's in the picture here, who was my colleague, is now at Douglas College. And Susan had asked me to come out and talk about advocacy, a presentation that we actually did at NYSTRA a few years ago. And so it was, so first of all, I'm from the Pacific Northwest. I'm from Everett, which is just outside of Seattle. I was going to British Columbia. When I was in college, I went to a college called Western Washington University. You would drive over the border and drink in Canada. So I was very familiar with the places that Susan lived. And so it was like going home, and it was a beautiful day. And I had to stop in Chicago. And if you know Susan, you know she loves Chicago popcorn. I got her some Chicago style popcorn. It was the 29th of February. It was the anniversary of my best friend's wedding day, which is the 29th of February. It's their 7th anniversary or their 28th year together. And so I wrote this. I was excited about doing this presentation and propelling me forward to do the presentation for NYSTRA. I was in the group, right? 28 years ago, I stood up for my best friend at her wedding. Today, I stand up for another best friend and present on advocacy. Both of these experiences brought to you by Therapeutic Recreation, my college roommate, whose birthday is today. She is also a CTRS. Great way to end International TR Month. Thank you to this profession that has given me so much in my life, including the most of the most important people. So I was excited. I was excited about NYSTRA. I was excited about everything. It was the 29th of February. I was in the Pacific Northwest. No, see now I'm at, and then this came out. This is the immediate release from the CDC saying that one patient had died in King County, which is where Seattle is, which is where SeaTac Airport is, which is a county over from my mother. I was in Snohomish County having dinner with my mother when I found out that somebody in Snohomish County died of COVID. And we now know that the actual first death was much earlier than that. But all of a sudden, I was making phone calls and pulling students, talking about pulling students out of long-term care facilities. And believe it or not, I'm going to say this line. I never thought I'd say this line. Luckily, Cortland had an outbreak of measles, and we had pulled every single kid or every single student out of service learning. So we were already a little bit ahead of the game. So that happened. I'm sure you all remember where you were. March 1st, I was with my mother. This is my mother. She does not allow you to take a picture of her because she hates her neck. So this is my mother. And I was having a Seattle dinner with my mom. It's the last time I saw my mom was March 1st, 2020. My mom just was recently diagnosed with Alzheimer's. So this was a hard one, right? So we're at dinner. This is one of my last times with my mom before. Well, this is the last time with my mom. And I will see her this summer, but just the last time I've seen her since COVID. So, all right, so scary, right? Mart is it, and everything. We got back on campus. You all got back to your jobs. Things started to happen. Cortland said, we're going to close down. We're going to close down for 2 weeks and go online for 2 more weeks, and then we're going to come back. Remember that? Remember how funny what that feels like now? Because yeah, we're all going to come back. Oh, just 2 weeks. Don't worry about it. It was a time, and I'm sure for you, it was a challenging time for all of us. You were doing things that were outside of your job description. I was counseling students. I was talking. I just remember so vividly. I'm in my office right now, and I remember so vividly being down the hall talking to a student who was going to travel to Mexico and trying to talk her out of it at that point, and trying to walk that line between professor and, are you crazy? So students, had a hard time. And so, all right, so March 11th, March 12th, Cortland suspends all spring sports, including softball. So if you know me, you know that this was a hard one for me. Cortland softball was suspended. I was with them when they were told that they were suspended. They had told them that they could play, and then 45 minutes later, they told them they couldn't play. These are women that have spent their entire life playing softball, and it just seemed like the end of the world to them. And so it was a difficult time and a very struggling time for me. I'm sure if we opened this up, everybody would talk about their challenges during those days, right? March 18th, 2020, Cortland goes virtual for the rest of the spring semester. We get the news, you all get the news. We all discover around this time what COVID is, what impact it's going to have on our life, and things are never the same, right? Never the same. On March 23rd, so this is not even a month later, I included this picture of me because it is probably, one, I know why my mom doesn't want a picture of her neck, because apparently it's hereditary. 2, this is where I spent my entire COVID. This was, we had some time where we were putting our classes online. They were challenging us. You were probably doing the same thing. This is my dad's work shirt. I was trying to channel his work ethic that day, and I was not excited. I knew that Nystra was going to probably not have the conference. I knew that that NYRPS was not going to have their conference. I knew that we weren't going to come back. I knew that summer was going to be different. I knew a lot of things. And this was, for all of us, probably one of a low point. April 7th, 2020, I wrote this on my Facebook page. I said, today would have been my honor to deliver the EndNote address for the 25th anniversary celebration of New York State Therapeutic Recreation Association, or NYSTRA. I didn't have the speech done when we went into lockdown, but if I gave it today, I would have started with this sentence. I'm proud to be a CTRS. I'm proud of this profession. I'm proud of this association, and I'm proud to be a New Yorker. That holds true today. And as I see the good work my fellow recreation therapists are doing amid the COVID-19 pandemic, I can say that I have never been prouder to be a CTRS of this profession, of this association, of this state. I want to tell you all how much you inspired me. I had the luxury of being able to do my job from home. I had the luxury of being in my office and being safe. You all went out and put your lives on the line. I don't think anyone can express to you all how much you meant to the people around you. I'm getting a little messed up because you all are my heroes. And I watched you from what I felt like my relative safety. And I watched you just do amazing, amazing things. And I want you to go into today proud of what you did, proud of our profession, and proud of who we are. We kicked butt. And I want you to realize how much I appreciate what you did. As the daughter of a woman who has Alzheimer's, as the aunt of a young man who has autism, I know what you meant to those people. I know what you meant to those families. So I want to stop here and I want to congratulate you. And if you know me, yeah, I do this on senior day, but that's all for my softball players, but that's all. But I want you to know how proud I am of you and how proud I am to be a part of this association where truly heroes work. But I will, in that moment, I will also tell you this. That was an attempt to make me feel better, right? I was proud to be with you. I was proud to be part of you, but I just felt hopeless. I know I felt hopeless at that time. And on the 13th, I said, it's pretty sad when your office is about 10 feet from my bed and you can't motivate to go in. And I want you to know that, you all were on the front lines, but there were, it was hard. It was a hard time, and everybody knows it was a hard time. And we could tell stories about how hard it was. But nobody wins in that conversation. So I just want you to know that it was difficult, right? So if you notice, this is all very dark, right? Very dark, little glimmers of light in my presentation. And I want to start here. I want to start with this picture. I want to start with Russ. And Russ, I'm so glad you're on. So I want to say this. I saw this picture on April 21st, and I don't know why, because I don't necessarily always have Russ on my feed. You know how Facebook goes. And I saw this, and somebody wanted me to see this picture. This is a picture, and Russ's agency actually used this picture for some publicity. And Russ was featured. And here Russ is at the bedside of somebody. I don't know if they're on a ventilator. I can't really tell. I think they might be on a ventilator. And this individual is connecting with their family. Russ is holding the iPad. He is helping this individual connect with their family, and that was the gist of the reason that they used it. They said, families have been grateful and talking about what rec therapists were doing. I saw this, and it changed my pandemic. I saw this, and I thought to myself, get out of bed, get off your butt, and educate your students, because this is not going to be our first pandemic, and our students need to be ready for this. And I saw this, and I told every one of my students every day how important recreation was for them. And I saw this, and I called and reached out to my friends, and I said, can I do anything? Can I help you? You're doing a great job. I saw this, and it changed the way I felt about what was going on. And so, Russ, I have to say to Russ, I really appreciate that you shared this with us. I have to say to Russ that this image has propelled me through my teaching for the last year. And I have this image in my mind a great deal when I'm talking to students. And one of the things that I talk to students about is adaptation. Not the traditional adaptation we usually talk to students about, but the adaptation of our profession. We stepped out of our comfort zone. We became experts in technology. We became the people that individuals went to connect. We helped in ways that we've never helped before. And because of that, our profession is stronger and better today than it was a year ago or 2 years ago. So Russ, I really do thank you, and I love you. You know that I love you so much, but I love you even more for this picture.
Susan, I just want to make a comment really quickly that
Sure.
Donna Carey just wrote that she's never known family members before COVID like she has since all the FaceTiming that she's done. And I think that's a real testament. And I apologize for interrupting, but I know that's to be interrupted. And I think that this is super important to share because, you know, I wrote in the comments that you were ruining my makeup because I was crying with you. It's really true. Honestly, you nailed it. You really nailed it. So I just wanted to put that out there and say, everybody keep your comments coming. And, you know, I'm reading them. And as we're reading them, I'll let Susan know, you know, what you want to share, or you can unmute yourselves as well. Okay.
All right. Thank you so much. I appreciate that because I do appreciate that this is, you don't know, you all could be asleep. I don't know. Yeah. So then we go to April 21st or 25th, right? So, you know, I pulled this directly from the NYSTRA website, and this is the day we were declared essential. Right? This is the day where it says occupational physical recreational speech therapists. This was our day. We were declared essential. ATRA put it up. Every site I'm on that deals with TR put it up. Washington State put it up. Everybody put it up. California put it up. Everybody put it up because we were declared essential, right? We were recognized. And again, that pride, that love of this profession, and just being able to say to people on meetings, you know, the people say, how's your day going? And I say, hey, we got declared essential today. That was like, it was huge. It was gigantic, right? And so, yeah, that's a big day. So I want to thank folks. I put up a request last week or 2 weeks ago about sending me some pictures of PPE, and I apologize that I didn't put everybody's name with it. But this, y'all probably can sort of recognize. And just as an aside, I never understood the Superman glasses on, glasses off until I encountered my friends at the grocery store with masks on. Because now Superman makes perfect sense. If you cover half your face, you can't recognize your friends. So Superman makes perfect sense now. So I want to start from here. I want to start from our dark time. I want to start from our from this point of using 2020 as our rear view mirror. So the presentation wasn't a full wash, right? The title could stay. We need to examine where we're going to go from there and how we use the momentum of our role in this pandemic, right? And how we go forward from this, right? And I want to stop again, and I know I'm talking way too much, but I'm supposed to, so I don't know why I'm apologizing. But I want to say this. I want to acknowledge that part of you, most of you are exhausted. All of you probably are exhausted, right? And I understand that you're exhausted. And probably the last thing you want to hear is from an academic that says, you know, we have to propel ourselves forward. And I appreciate that. But I want to put this in your queue. We've all been binging Netflix, so we're going to put this in your queue. And this is going to be a project that I want you to think about for the next year as we move forward, as we move out of this exhausting time and into our new time in therapeutic recreation. So hang on, I have to move. Oh my goodness. Oh, sorry, folks. I can't see. Okay. I got like 3 screens up, so I'm good. So I want to say first and foremost, why were we declared essential? First of all, because we're awesome. What we do is awesome. Who we are is awesome. I always say to myself when I go into the classroom, I never want a TR student to leave my classroom not knowing how great this profession is. That's how I start everything and how amazing they are. And I always tell people that you got to feel sorry for physical therapists and occupational therapists. Yes, they make more money than us, but their lives are far less fulfilling than us. So, we have it. So our strength is our diversity. No other therapist focuses on all domains. They don't. Physical therapists focus on physical. Social workers are looking at cognitive, maybe a little bit of social, but we focus on physical, psychological, cognitive, spiritual. I'm forgetting one. I'm forgetting one.
Affective?
Affective. No, I said psychological. Social. Oh my gosh, social. All right, social. See, I can still be excited when I'm on this thing. So we focus on those and we integrate that, right? We don't treat people like they're silos. Like all you are is a broken arm. All you are is this. We look at the meaning behind that. My mom a number of years ago was in a car accident and shattered her leg and broke her elbow. She went to a physical therapist, and in physical therapy, she did this, moved her arm up and down because she had no range of motion. I was just out of college and living with my parents, which I don't recommend, and ended up taking care of my mom a great deal of time. I ended up taking her to physical therapy. And after a few days, I said to my mom, "Mom, why don't you knit anymore? You knitted when we were kids. Why don't you knit anymore?" And my mom said, "Well, your kids got busy and da-da." And I said, do you like it? She said, "Yeah, I love it." Went to the Michael's, got her some yarn, got her some books, and she started knitting, right? Started moving that elbow, started doing this with knitting. My mom also, when she knits, goes, knit, 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 damn it, and then pulls out a lot of things. Damn it apparently is a big word in knitting. I didn't know that until my mom started knitting again, but she pulls it out, right? And then we go back to the physical therapist and I go, "Oh, Kathy, your arm's really doing well." And then people would come over and bring dinners and visit with my mom, and she was in bed. She couldn't get out of bed. She had to have her leg at a 90-degree angle. And people would come over and she would give them these little washcloths, these little teeny tiny washcloths. Haha, I do have one. This little teeny tiny washcloth. You throw it in the washer, and it's recyclable. People would ask her about it. She would socialize with them. She would give something away. She felt useful. She was pulling all of those things together. No one else does that, people. No one else does it but us. No one. You have to be proud of that. You have to understand how important we are because of that. So we have this diversity, this great diversity, but we also moved out of our comfort zone and we adapted our therapies. We went one-on-one. We held iPads up to people who were dying to say goodbye to their families. Do you understand how important your job is? There's nothing more important than that. Nothing more important than that. I know of rec therapists that were in ERs. I know of rec therapists that hug doctors and nurses. I know of rec therapists that did more in a day than most people do in their entire life to comfort people. They comforted families, they comforted friends, right? We have meaning. Our profession is so meaningful. Don't ever forget that. Don't ever forget that. So what is meaning, right? I love this. I love
Susan,
this.
you got a lot of Hutchins people on here.
Those Hutchins people, I don't know what they're doing during the day, but they could send me pictures. So no, I got a lot of Hutchins people. I had interns up in Hutchins, so I think it helped out that way. So what is meaning? Meaning, the dictionary definition, which I always like to go to the dictionary definition first because I'm a nerd, is implied or explicit significance. Similar means significance. Important or worthwhile quality or purpose. Similar to that is value, validity, worth, consequent, use, usefulness. That is us. That is who we are. We are important and worthwhile. We have value. We have worth to individuals. And it took a pandemic for some of you to realize that. I'm just going to say that, right? And we do. So I found this quote about meaning, and it says, "I've always believed, and I still believe, that whatever good or bad fortune may come our way, we can always give it meaning and transform it into something of value," right? So that's what we did. We looked at what was going on in the world and we transformed the good and the bad into value for our clients, into value for our patients, into value for the people that we serve, right? And that's a very, very important thing that we did. This is just FYI, this I believe is either Halloween or Christmas. I haven't figured it out, but I don't think Bree has a horn growing out of her head just on a regular basis. So the former student of mine. But recreation, the dictionary definition again, is refreshment of strength and spirits after work. Also a means of refreshment or diversion. But what we found and what we need to remember is this. I want to change the definition and say refreshment of strength and spirits in life. Not after work. We're not some sort of, ice cream at the end of a long walk. We are part of life. We are an essential aspect of life, right? We are a means of restoring or applying meaning to life. I love when I meet students here on campus, and I often ask them, "Where are you from? What's your major?" That's typically a conversation we have. What's your major? And I've started in the last few years replacing what your major was. What clubs are you in? Right? And asking students what they do in their free time. And I wish that we could get to a point in our lives where when we ask people, what do you do? They said kayak or walk with my dogs or do those kinds of things rather than say I'm a recreation therapist. Although don't ever stop saying you're a recreation therapist. But I wish we were at a society that really understood that who we are happens in leisure. Who we are happens in our recreation. And, whereas our physical therapists and our occupational therapists are so focused on getting people better, right? Getting people better, getting healing, whatever. We are looking at people and saying, okay, if your life changes, this is how your life is going to change. This is how your recreation is going to change. This is how you're going to still get that quality of life. So we really need to focus in on that idea of a means of restoring or applying meaning in individuals' lives. We do what we do every day. What we do every day became what we needed every day. And let me explain that to you. So what we do in recreation and leisure as therapeutic recreation specialists, what we do every day, what we do, we connect people, we reduce stress, we look after physical health, we look after we promote psychological well-being, we connect families, we strengthen social bonds. We do that every day. they didn't change because we had a pandemic, right? We still did it every day. We helped develop these strong communities. I love the comment about knowing families better than you ever did before. All of those kinds of things, we've always done that, right? But it became what, and I use the capital here, we needed as a society every day. Recreation became what we needed. I don't know if you all paid, you all were in the thick of it and really churning away at work, but you would see these posts on Facebook about the Adirondacks and trails being closed because there were too many people on trails. Parks were overrun. I mean, just this amazingness. We developed this game. My girlfriend and her daughter and I developed this game called Which Way, which we would go for a long ride and then we'd stop at a stop sign and say left, right, or forwards, right? And whoever's turn it was would pick, and we just end up wherever, right? It was an amazing game, right? But it would just got us out of our house to not see those four walls. We went to parks, all of those kinds of things, and people needed recreation. The sun would be shining and you'd see people out with their dogs, you'd see people walking down the street. And yes, we were in masks, and yes, we were socially distanced, and yes, we were doing all that, but we just needed to see other people. And it was so important to see other people. And it was so much a lifter in our society to see other people. We do that every day. We connect people every day. Do you realize, let me just stop for a minute. You realize how cool your job is? Do you understand how cool your job is? Other people go to work and write numbers down and add them together and subtract them and divide them. I still have to do my taxes, by the way. And you get to go to work, right? You get to go to work and connect people. Connect people. Gosh, what a great job. So yeah, you're darn right we're essential. Yeah, it's about dang time that somebody realized we are essential, right? That's what we were saying. We're essential. This made perfect sense. Therapeutic recreation specialists were recognized, right? We have meaning. It's not over though. And let me explain that. So I think everybody has probably heard the news that masks, although not in the state of New York, but that the CDC has now recommended that we're not going to be wearing masks outside. Hopefully New York State will take the lead in a little bit. I just read this morning that Trader Joe's is suspending, you can go into Trader Joe's without a mask. I don't know if in New York State, but in most Trader Joe's and some of the retail places are saying no masks. And there's some danger in that, I think, but the science is behind it, and I trust the science. But I'm not saying that the pandemic's not over, because I think that we're rolling towards a place of normalcy, right? I don't know. I'm just spitballing here because I don't know what's going to happen. I'm not a scientist. I wish I was at this point, but
Susan, I have a couple of comments I think maybe are really important to talk about to add to your discussion. Ashley wrote that during COVID, she was able to show up for her colleagues in a way that she never could before. And Annette wrote that we were really lucky in this way, but our patients and our residents felt like they were in prison, being stuck in their four walls, waiting for us to come in and connect them. So I think that's really important to discuss.
That is important. Also. Yeah, I think that's a great discussion about the fact that, yeah, we were, unfortunately for a lot of people, we were their only social contact, and having to figure that out was hard. It was a hard thing. Yeah, and so we want to talk about the fact that as we move forward, we stepped out of our comfort zone. We stepped up to our challenge, right? We stepped up to the challenge, and no one, and what you did was a beautiful thing. And I'll say you, because it wasn't me, it was all of you. What the next step is how do we continue to project this value? How do we sustain this change? How do we remain essential? We're essential in our own eyes, but how do we remain essential in the eyes of others? So this is where you might want to just throw me out the window, because I'm gonna give you an assignment. So I'm going to talk about evidence-based practice. You've heard it before, right? By the way, this is a picture from Loretto. This is a rec therapist that on Christmas Day was the only rec therapist in the COVID unit. And here, I believe this is Christmas Day, but if this is not a rec therapist, I don't know what is. This is a perfect example of, of somebody with a speaker, looks like gifts, looks like activities. They got a little flare on. It's a rec therapist as far as I'm concerned. I'd see her on the street and go, hey, you're a recreation therapist. So you've heard about evidence-based practice before. Evidence-based practice means integrating individual clinical expertise with the best available external clinical evidence from systematic research. Okay. And why do we need to do this? Why is evidence-based practice essential? Right. So this comes from Loretto again, and I love these shirts, and I hope you all still wear them. I'm freaking essential. Love their shirts. So this comes from Loretto. Healthcare is a business, right? And as much as we can talk about the us and the touchy-feely and all those kinds of things, and don't get me wrong, I'm not. Those are the most important things in life. We live in a world where business seems to be a major point for people, right? And healthcare is a business. And just as with any business, we need to show our contribution. We were able to do that very easily, and we need to continue that. We need to capitalize on that momentum. Evidence-based practice allows us to ensure that we're using the most efficient and effective tools to get a client their outcome, right? That's just a fact. We can use evidence-based practice. This is my belief. This is my opinion, and I'll take all the I'll take the guff that you want to give me from it. But it's my belief that until we have empirical data to prove our interventions contribute, right? We need that. Without it, we'll be continued to be seen as substandard to PT, OT, and speech. We need people to understand what we do and how it contributes to the healing of individuals. We need to understand that our outcomes are scientifically measured, and that they have value. We haven't done that in our field, and I'll take the blame. I'll take part of the blame as well. We haven't done that in our field, and we need to do that. And it's something that here at Cortland we have been really focusing on for the last few years about how you make decisions based on evidence-based practice, and most of you are, right? But we need to start taking that one step further. Oh, somebody's got a hand up.
Yeah, I also wanted to mention too, I think we have been trying to do this a lot on the unit I work on, but like really separating our departments, because we're not all just rehab. Like I'm a rec therapist. I'm a part of a rehab department, but we're not all of the same. And so often other departments just try to say, well, you're all rehab and lump us all together, but we all have so many different skills and so much that we bring to the table. And this probably happens at a lot of different facilities where we're all just lumped sometimes, and we're not all the same.
No, we're not. We're very unique in terms of what we do. You know, I look at rec therapists when students go out and they look at rec therapy and look at the different areas that they're going into, and even, you know, people go out and work in substance abuse, and people go out and work in rehab, and people, you know, all of these different kinds of things. we need to acknowledge that we are different. We're very different. But we need to acknowledge that we need to start to focus the idea of showing people our contribution, right? Of holding up that sign and saying, yes, we are essential because we contribute to the outcomes of individuals, and we are making sure that they're not going to come back, right? Leisure therapy, leisure education. I am convinced of this, and hopefully my colleague Jackie and I at some point will be working on this. Leisure education, individuals who have issues with substance abuse, I believe that leisure education can help them not repeat, not go back in, not relapse, right? And I want to prove that. So hold me to that. Hold me to that. And every time you see me, ask me how far I've come in that, because I want people to understand what it is we do and how freaking awesome we are, right? How freaking essential. See, it says freaking essential. Freaking. That says freaking, not freaking. Sorry. So the process of evidence-based practice is is a process that is been talked about a lot. You've probably heard it at other conferences. It's ask, find, appraise, integrate, and evaluate, right? It's this idea of asking a question, talking about a answerable question, finding information and evidence to answer that question, appraising that evidence because you have those skills, integrating that into your practice, saying, hey, you know what? I know that Clemson has tons and tons of research on this right now, that yoga is good for individuals who have experienced a stroke, right? I know that is, and so let me figure out how I can integrate that into my practice. Let me figure out how I can get leisure education into my practice. Let me figure out how I can work on cardiovascular strength for individuals who have experienced a stroke or have experienced a spinal cord injury or traumatic brain injury, right? Let me figure that out. And then we need to evaluate. So you start to see a little light. You also start to see, you're going to start to see these little cards show up here. So I really appreciate, again, the folks that sent me pictures, and some of them sent me pictures of them getting vaccinated, which let me just tell you, that was a time period when you were all on my Facebook feed just getting vaccinated, and it was just like, you go, rec therapist, you go. So how do we want to do this? We want to question, find, read, and decide. So we talk about ask, find, appraise, question, ask a question with a focus. What are the interventions to use with individuals with a traumatic brain injury? Then we want to find. I'm putting today 2 sites on here, and I haven't done this yet, but I will put the slides up for folks after the presentation so that you can search from here. But I'm putting 2 very important sites up. The first is the one from Temple, which is called Wise Owls, RT Wise Owls. And I don't know, can you see this? Can you see the Wise Owls screen? Has it come up or not? I may not have shared there should be a Wise Owl screen that just came up. No, you can't see it. Okay, hang on.
No, you have to reshare. You have to stop.
Yeah, I've got to stop sharing, and then I got to reshare. So I'm going to stop
share.
Yeah, stop share. And look at all of you. Hi, all.
Hi,
everybody. And then I'm going to go back to share screen, and I'm going to go back to my desktop and share my whole desktop instead of just that. So now, can you see Wise Owls? It should be coming up right now.
Yes.
Okay. So Wise Owls is an RT site. It is out of Temple University. Temple University is doing some really amazing things right now with evidence-based practice. Did anybody here go to Temple? anyway, so and they have this great site. So I and some of you may have been on it, but I want you to just kind of look at it. Let me get my screen bigger. I just want you to look at it. You can search the literature on here. So for example, if we want to look at our question, right? So we can search a number of different ways. We can search just looking through. So we can search what the effects of simple reminiscence intervention on reminiscent functions in older adults, right? We can look, we can go through and look at, they do it by population, right? So we can click on different populations. We can also search based on a question. So traumatic, and now you're all gonna, I can't spell, so TBI and exercise, right? See, I'm gonna have to say, I'm gonna say head injury. Traumatic.
There's a U in there after the A.
Thank you. My mother told me when I was a little kid, after this A, my mother told me when I was a little kid that my spelling was going to hold me back. When I got my PhD, I put the diploma right in her face and said, "Did it hold me back?" No. And I'm not going to be able to get this. Anyways, if you were to search it, you would be able, and I had this whole thing and it was all, now I just blew it. Now I'll never gain your respect ever again.
I'll give you.
So anyways, you can go through, here's traumatic effects. This is what I wanted you to get to. Traumatic effects of meditation, yoga, and mindfulness-based interventions for chronic symptoms of mild traumatic brain injury, a systematic review and meta-analysis. I tried to make it too narrow, but this is a brand new article that talks about traumatic brain injury. We can look through and look at different types of programming, different types. We can search by mental health. We can search by mood. We can search by intervention. We can search by what is the benefits of music therapy, and we can come up with a lot of different activities. So this database, I wanted to show it to you because of this. Most times when you leave a university, you leave behind your ability to use that university's databases. And what Temple has done is that they have linked the articles. So it's not just getting the abstract anymore. You can actually go through and find the articles. Most every single one of these, this is the abstract, but you can link to a full text article. This is something that every recreation therapist should know is out there for you. This comes up, this is a brand new, I think it was just published in the last 2 months. Actually it's published in the last quarter. I thought it was the first quarter of this year, but anyways, it's an article that can help you in your work. It is free to you. You can read it. You can look through what other places have found. You can make your decisions based on evidence-based practice or evidence-based research. So Temple Wise Owls has done that. The other organization, or the other one that I want you to talk about, is what's called Google Scholar. Google Scholar can do the same thing. It's not as nice and neat as Temple's, but you can go in and talk about therapeutic. Yeah, I spell therapeutic wrong all the time too, but you know what I love about Google? It understands me. So it actually goes through and talks about different types of things, and you can search much more finally narrow. I did a very wide search here, but you can search this. Leisure and stress coping, implication for therapeutic recreation practice. If you're a rec therapist, you should just bookmark that right now, right? Stress coping are one of the many things that we do. So I wanted to show you that, because I think a lot of times we say to ourselves, so where am I going to find these articles, right? I'm not going to find them in my local library. I've got to go back to a university library. So here are 2 sites right there that have full articles available for free. You can access those. And let me just say this, if you can't find it, email me and I'll find it for you and I'll send it to you. I promise you that. I promise you that.
Jess has her hand raised.
Okay.
I just want to say thank you for sharing this. A couple of weeks ago, I had reached out to Jackie Dyke and Susan Purrington, and I had been struggling a lot finding articles for rec therapy. I'm like, I was having a really hard time, and these are really good sites to have to be able to look stuff up, because it was really difficult to find. I was like, wow.
Yeah,
it was a lot harder than I thought to find stuff. I was like, I'm looking everywhere.
Yeah. It is a lot harder sometimes. And I just did an accreditation visit at San Jose State University. It was a virtual visit, and their library in San Jose University is also their public library, which to me just blows my mind. Can you imagine being able to go into a public library and having it also be a university library? So you had the best of both worlds. And that's when I knew I was a complete and utter geek, because I was just so psyched about that. But yeah, and so if you can't find it, if for some reason you're looking for an article that you can't find, I have access here at Cortland to the library. I'll print it off. I'll carrier pigeon it to you. No, I'll probably email it to you, but I'll get it to you if you want it and you need it. And that's my promise to you. Evidence-based practice is just the tip of the iceberg, right? So we've seen this, and ignore that blue part underneath. We've seen this triangle a lot in the last few. I haven't gone to a conference in probably 4 years and not seen this triangle, and I'm a little sick of it. But I like that it is now a square, right? So we talk about clinical expertise and opinion. We talk about external scientific evidence, which is that Google Scholar, which is that Wise Owls. We talk about client, patient, caregiver perspective, right? So we're not losing the humanness. We're not saying we're doing this intervention, regardless what the client says. We're looking at the client's perspective. But this last part, what's underneath is really important. It's that internal evidence. It's that data-informed evaluation of client performance. It's the ability to say, this is what I do. This is the effectiveness of it. And I'm challenging. I'm going to be challenging a lot today, but I'm challenging us next year to have Jackie Dyke, one of my colleagues, speak on the idea of using evaluation to prove your worth. Jackie's done she did an amazing job when she was at Hilo Health. Now she's at Cortland as a professor, but she was at Hilo Health, did an amazing job looking at the cost of our programs and the effectiveness of our programs. And Hilo Health, their recreation therapy grew. Jackie was able to start some new programs, and really amazing things were happening. The slide previous with the individual with the sleeve is Mel Blakesley. Melissa Blakesley is a rec therapist down in the Binghamton area. She works with a community-based program. She's been able to hire a couple of I think one full-time person in addition to her, and then several part-time individuals. So she's been able to grow that program using that same thing. So we need to get those folks in here to talk about that. They could do that much better than I. But this internal evidence, this data-informed evaluation of how our clients are performing is really very important. So we want to look at design and intervention, using information that we gathered, and so that we can it can be a piece of our program. We can say we're going to have this little piece of our program is going to be evidence-based. Don't think about, I got to change everything. Think about the small. Start with the small. Once the small works, get a little bigger, a little bigger, a little bigger, right? It's like, how do you eat a, what is it? How do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time, right? How do you change to evidence-based practice? One aspect at a time, right? Using your intended outcomes to gather information about the effectiveness of your program. If we go back to, and I will go back to, if we go back to Wise Owls with Temple, they have a whole section on how to measure outcomes, right? They have a whole section on looking at different questionnaires for clients. They have quality of life. They have different kinds of programming. And so taking a look at that and really looking at what we can use in terms of measurement tools, right? What's important. So Wise Owls is a great resource that we have at our fingertips. And you're right, Jess. Not a lot of people know about it. And it is just it's a treasure trove. Did Susan point you in that direction?
She pointed me to Google Scholar,
Mhm.
and then she pointed me to a lot of other sites, but a lot of them I had to be affiliated with a college to get into, which made it very difficult. So like I had to steal my boyfriend's Oswego account to get in, but that's what was really difficult about it. If you're not going to school, it's hard to be able to get in to look at research and review it, despite, you know, so that's what was hard for me.
Yeah, and that's why the Wise Owls has been so I've just been really plugging it because it is a really good source, right? Are you meeting your outcomes? Is your desired outcomes being met by your programs? Is one method better than the other? Does it have long-term implications? So looking at and gathering data and adding to the knowledge that is out in our field, right? Adding to that. If you're having trouble getting started, there's a lot of us that teach at universities. We have to do research. We have to propel. We'd love to help you out. So I would, and I'm going to speak for everybody. I'm just going to say everybody's going to help you out. And if they don't, then have them come talk to me because I'll make them help you. So this is Loretto dressed as superheroes. And I can't do that. I don't have the time. I don't have the skill. I don't have the expertise, and it's not needed to do my job. I'm not gonna do it. Not gonna do it, right? So I'm going to become a commercial here for a minute for a new podcast that's out that I think every rec therapist should listen to. It's a podcast called We Can Do Hard Things by Gwendolyn Doyle. If you haven't listened to it, take some time. Don't let it interfere with your Nystra, but listen to it. Gwendolyn Doyle is a woman who wrote the book Untamed, which was the #1 bestseller during COVID. And it was talking about doing hard things. And it was not only talking about doing hard things, but sharing when you do hard things with other people so that they know you're doing hard things. So we don't go around with this fake persona of, oh, my program's perfect. I don't have any issues. I don't feel burnt out. I don't da-da-da-da-da. That you are really aware that some things are hard. And we did, I'm going to say you did the hard things in COVID, right? I can't imagine that any one of you sitting here thought, well, that was a breeze, that was no big deal. It was no different than my regular job, right? You didn't have the time for a pandemic. You didn't have that time. You didn't have the time to do what you did during the pandemic. You didn't, I don't have the skill. You're saying I don't have the skill. You do. Honest, you do. When students call me and say Nystra, or a lot of times when Nystra sends out their call, I'll call former alumni and I'll say, you need to present on such and such that I know you're doing. And they'll say, well, I can't present. I'm like, yeah, you can. Yes, you can. You can do it. You can do it. And so, you can do it. You have those skills. But if you need a refresher, find a partner, a real partner or a virtual partner. For crying out loud, go on YouTube, look it up, right? We didn't have the skill to have all this expertise. We didn't have the expertise before. We didn't have expertise in. I can imagine that you weren't all tech gurus, but now you have a much better sense of technical assistance. I can imagine that the first time you used Zoom, or the first time you used WebEx, or the first time you used Teams, or the first time you used any one of those COVID words, that you had a little bit of difficulty. You didn't have the expertise before, and you figured it out. You're smart people, right? And if you can't figure it out, find a partner. And if you can't find a partner, find me, because I don't go anywhere but here. So it's not needed to do my job. I don't need this. This is not a requirement of my job to. It's not a requirement of your job, but it's a requirement of your profession. We need it to propel ourselves forward. You are capable. You are the expert. You are the person that we are looking to, right? And you don't have to do it all, but if you can start to add to that base of knowledge, then we as a profession can do the things that we want to do. We can become a licensed therapy. We can become reimbursed. We can say to insurance companies, here's the numbers. Here they are. This is why you need to fund us, right? And no, it may not come in your lifetime. It may not come in your professional career. Probably, hopefully, will come in your lifetime. It may not come in your professional career. But you are part of something bigger, and you need to. We all need to. I'm preaching to myself here, folks. We all need to do this. We all need to continue this. And now's the time, because we can do hard things. We can propel ourselves forward. We can be the profession that we've imagined, because we are. We're already there. We just got to show people that we are, right? We want to start now. So at this conference, what can I do at this conference to make my practice better? What can I do at this conference to make what I do better?
Have fun. Good luck to her.
All right. What questions can I ask others to help me? Who can I reach out to in participants or in sessions? Not only just the people that are speaking, but the people that are next to you, right? I miss being able to, nudge somebody in an elbow, and that's going to be a hard one when I get on Nystra. You want to do that, but there's also the texting of the other person and saying, "Can you believe she just said that? I can't believe she just said that." So talk to individuals. And what one intervention can I start with? What one intervention can I look at? What one thing can I point to and say, I'm using evidence-based practice, and here are the articles, and here is what I decided to do, and here are my outcomes. What one thing, right? Not the whole elephant, just one bite. We also need to advocate, right? Our name on one PowerPoint is not enough. It is pretty exciting to see the governor, and I was in my office. I used to listen to the 1 hour of the governor every day, and then I'd have to turn it off. Listen to his radio address or whatever address, and I saw our name there. And I was so excited. But I imagine a lot of people missed that. And so we need to educate and advocate now more than ever. We need to build on our role in the pandemic. Those families that you've become connected to are your stakeholders. Those families that you become connected to are now your word of mouth advertising. They're going out and saying, you know what? Yeah, my loved one was in the hospital, and a recreation therapist did this for my family. Right? And then people say, well, what's a recreation therapist? Right? Well, let me tell you a little bit about that, because my recreation therapist told me what they do. So we need everyone to hear our story. and to hear what we have done.
I just want to say I actually became a recreation therapist because my uncle was on a vent in Gerwin Nursing Home on Long Island. He had ALS, and the only person who he smiled for that walked into the room was his rec therapist. So it actually became the reason why I discovered what rec therapy is and became one. So
Right.
you're absolutely correct, Susan, 100%.
And advocacy is part of our professionalism. There's a statistic and I don't have it off the top of my head in the NYSTRA, or not NYSTRA, excuse me, in the NCTRC job analysis, there's a statistic of how much advocacy we would do in a day in the job analysis. It's like the third or fourth highest is advocacy, right? Professionalism requires us to communicate with our clients, with other professionals, and the public about the nature and significance of our services, and we need to continue to do that. And Tina, I'm so sorry I cut off your head. And I didn't mean to do that, but I thought your face was so much, not that your face is not lovely and beautiful, and you'll see Tina's face in a mask in a minute, but I cut off her head, so I'm sorry. Advocacy and education and advocacy, we need people to understand who we are and what we do post-pandemic. Right? We need them to understand that we are there. We need to remind our stakeholders of our role in the pandemic, and more importantly, what our role is going forward. We need to capitalize on the fact that, we are there in terms of social interaction, coping skills, cardiovascular health, as people get back to work, get back to life, get back to who they are. This semester, when we all got our shots and we started to interact more, I found that I had lost a little social skills, right? I had forgotten what it was like because I was just telling my family to shut up, because I can tell my family to shut up. I can't necessarily tell my colleagues to do that. So we need to show people, hey, as you move out of this, these are some things that we can do. These are some ways that we can help. You need to look at who your audience is. What do you and your audience have in common? And you need to identify an audience. Are they the families of your patients? Are they your patients themselves? Are they your colleagues? Are they your higher ups? You can advocate to anyone. You can advocate to the guy in the drugstore that you're standing next to 6 feet apart. You can advocate to anybody about what our profession is. But you need to realize that we need to analyze our audience just as we do our activities and see how we can best communicate with them. How do you and your audience differ? And look at ideas and examples in your speech that your audience might identify with. I have a story of being an aunt of a individual who has autism. And James has been in my family for 27 years. He's also essential, by the way. He does dishes at a local hospital, and so James has been at work every single day during this pandemic as well. That's something I have in common with folks, that they have people in their families that have disabilities. And so looking how I can identify with individuals. Yes, I am somebody who teaches therapeutic recreation, but I'm also, in a way, a consumer, right? My family benefits from it. How can your topic or your information benefit your audience? And decide, what is it that I want these folks to know? I want them to know that therapeutic recreation is an essential part, because because if they ever need those services, they know what to ask for, right? How can the audience use your information? How will the information help your audience? What's your audience's amount of interest or attitude towards your topic? And how will you address or compensate your audience's amount of interest or attitude towards your topic? What does your audience know about your topic? What kinds of things do you know about your topic? So these are things in terms of asking yourself these questions before you start to advocate. And so as we start to move into this next phase, I want you to start to ask yourself, who is my audience? Who do I want to interact with? and find out what they need to know about therapeutic recreation. I was at a great session a number of years ago, actually 2-3 years ago, Southeast TR Symposium. When I was on sabbatical, I was able to go down to Virginia and go to the Southeast. Leandra Berdini did a great presentation on advocating to hospital operators and secretaries and the people that answer the phone. It was an amazing presentation about why are we not advocating these? And I see it a lot of times when we have students who call a hospital and say in their local area and say, I want to talk to the recreation therapist and the switchboard operator. I know I'm talking in 1950s talk, but the operator at this says, we don't have therapeutic recreation. I don't know what you're talking about, right? Just the way hospitals are set up. And then the student comes in and says, well, they don't have therapeutic recreation. I'm like, yes, they do. And here is their rec therapist, and I know them, and here's their number, right? So talking to the people around you about what you do. So I'm challenging you again. First, I'm challenging you to use evidence-based practice. And now I'm challenging, first of all, is this not the cutest dog? Look at that dog. It doesn't even look real. It's so cute. And I do not know why it does not have a mask on. I have not been able to figure that out, but whatever. So I have another challenge for you. April 25th needs to be our day. It needs to be our day to advocate. April 25th is the day we became essential. April 25th, 2022, a little under a year from now, needs to be a day of advocacy and education for TR in New York State. And I'm not talking about storming the Capitol. I'm not talking about going in and doing advocacy or lobbying, those kinds of things, although that would be great if you did that. What I am talking about is setting aside a day to develop a message to deliver on that day, be it to your board of directors, be it to your families, be it to your clients, be it to whoever. You need to develop a message to deliver on that day. And on April 25th, and obviously you're going to do this every day of your life, but on April 25th, 2022, we all need to make a pledge that we will educate one person about what therapeutic recreation is and its place in healthcare. We need to develop the message and advocate and educate our stakeholders about the profession or your program. It doesn't matter. We can do the hard things. And I'm gonna say this, and there's some nicer board members on here. I developed when I went to the Southeast TR Symposium, I did a presentation on an elevator speech with my good friend, Jen Hinton. Jen's a rec therapist in North Carolina. I don't know that I can get Jen there. Maybe I can get her there virtually, but we will do that again at NYSTRA. It is a whole presentation on how to develop advocacy. It's a very practical presentation. We've done it before. We actually wrote a ATRA newsletter article about it, about how to develop a presentation. If NYSTRA goes back to the way we were before, that will be just about before April 25th. Right?
Plan on it. We are definitely hopeful that we will be in person next year, God willing.
Okay, so I will have a session at that, and on April 25th, I'm challenging everyone on this call, every therapeutic recreation professional that you know, to advocate, a day of advocation and education. And like I said, it doesn't necessarily have to be to your board of directors. It can be to the guy in the line with you in the pharmacy. I don't care. I just want you to tell somebody about our field. We're better together, folks. That's Tina on the very end there. So we do see her lovely face. This last year and a half or so has taught us that we're better together. Encouragement via calls, texts, Facebook message, etc., has been amazing. The fact that I get on NYSTRA and that NYSTRA was the first place I went to after I found out we were essential, and already we had a graphic up, right? Just amazing, right? I've seen you all be encouraging to each other on Facebook. I've seen some of the sweetest messages. I've seen people divulge to you that they were done, that they were tired, that they couldn't do it anymore. And I've seen you all pick those folks up. So we're better together than we are apart. And we've been amazing to each other and amazing to our other colleagues this year. And we've stepped out of our comfort zone, and we've been recognized as essential. It's like we've stepped out and we've said, this is who we are, and we've been rewarded with this idea of essential. Not that it's the end all be all, and I'm not saying it is, but we rock. We are amazing. We are the best profession on the earth. Why would anyone want to be anything else? That's what I say to students all the time on campus. What's your major? Education. Why would you want to be education when you could be recreation? I don't understand. We are the best profession. We're standing at the crossroads right now, right? And we can watch the DeLorean hit 88 and leave us behind. I have that vision. Every time I think about the Back to the Future, I have that vision of when the DeLorean takes off and the fire that it leaves behind, right? We don't want to be standing there in that fire that they leave behind. We want to set a course. We want to get in the DeLorean and set a course for a bright future and work towards it. It's not going to be easy. It's not going to be something that comes really naturally for us. We're going to have to do some hard things, but we can do the hard things. We can do hard things. We are therapeutic recreation. There is nothing better than us. And this is the end of my presentation. And I just want to end with this. This is me 2 weeks ago. I typically give a little speech about each of the seniors for softball. They let me do that, and then they let me stay and watch a game, which is I was the only one in the stands. But I like this because first of all, I'm on red. I like that. But second of all, you see that bright sky behind us, that blue sky behind us? That's us. We're headed towards that blue sky. You are amazing. You have done amazing things. You're all my heroes. Now's the time to capitalize on that. Thank you very much.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Susan. I think that I can speak for everybody when I say that this absolutely was probably one of the most favorite keynotes I've seen. I think you absolutely nailed so much. And if anybody else wants to comment while I find the link for the drive so you can access it in order to get your attestation, please feel free to unmute yourself, comment, and really engage right now. Anybody?
Ashley, raise your hand. You're a fellow Western Washington grad? Which one of you is Ashley? I can't see you. I'm reading all the comments now. This isn't all new to me.
Well, I'm not a fellow grad, but I just want to say thank you for your presentation.
Thank you.
Really emotional, so you did make me cry, and then the eyelashes got all misty at the mascara, but I took off my camera to fix myself, but thank you. It was really great.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
A year in reflection. That's really what it was, so thank you for that.
Mm-hmm.
I want to thank you as well. This was great information, and those two sites, I'm definitely going to go on and look at them. And 2020 last year was my 20th year being a CTRS.
Well, congratulations.
Thank you.
5 more years and you get a pin. It's very exciting when you get the pin.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm reading all these comments and I'm overwhelmed, and it's so, isn't it funny how, this, I mean, just any contact with people from the outside world is just so great. I mean, I see Anne's face there. I see Kirsten's face. I'm just like, oh my gosh, it's just so lovely to see you all.
So I just wanted to let you guys know, I did just post the link to the drive from Google. Again, you do have to have a Gmail account in order to fill out the Google Drive doc so that you can have the attestation. Additionally, please comment here if you haven't already. If you have, I'll have your name. But if you haven't commented already, please do so that you get attendance for having attended here. And then also fill out the attestation form so that we can make sure that we give you guys credit for attending. Is there anybody else who'd like to make some comments before we end the session? Because we're perfectly on time and I'm very impressed.
I'm pretty impressed myself. Thank you all. Thank you all. It was so great to see your faces.
Don't put too much stress in.
Thank you, Susan. It is great to see you in person. And actually hear
Kristen,
people's
were you eating?
voices.
Were you
No,
eating?
I don't want it to get soggy.
Were you eating? I saw
I
you
was
eating.
eating.
What were you having? Just a little chicken tenders?
No, I had some hummus and some peppers and cheese and crackers and like a
One of the
little snack.
last outings that I remember before we went into lockdown, it was actually the last one. And so we all went to see Kirsten do a play. If you get a chance to see Kirsten do a play, take advantage of it. Denise and Susie and I can't remember who else was. Jen Battle, we all went and saw Kirsten do a play. It was the most fun I've had in a long time.
It was awesome to have
and
people come to.
I really want to come again. Such talent.
Hopefully someday we'll be back on stage.
Hopefully.
Here's hoping. Also, Donna's saying that if she goes to the link, it doesn't let her type anything. So let me go ahead and look into that. In the meantime, again, comment below, and then also on the Facebook page, we did screenshot all of the login IDs and passwords to get into whatever other sessions you would like to attend if you are attending live. If you are attending pre-recorded, all you have to do is go on to the YouTube page that we sent out, and you can click on that and again, click on the link. But we're gonna look into that because that is actually, I'm surprised, I'm seeing that you also couldn't use the form. So Jess and I are gonna look into that because one of the biggest things I've struggled with is the technology this last year. And thank God for Jess and Megan. I call myself a technology boomer because I thought I knew what I was doing, but I don't. So all of the technology stuff, totally thank goodness for Jessica and Megan because
You have to click on open in Google Docs and then you have to request edit access.
oh, okay. So we will go ahead and we will do that. Okay. So in the meantime, just make sure that you're doing an attestation form for every single session you attend, because otherwise you're not going to get credit for it. So you have to make sure that you attest for every single session, even the ones you're pre-recorded, even the ones you view live. Okay.
Actually, I think edit access is going to let us all make changes to the form. So don't do that. Now that I'm looking at it. So.
Okay, Kristen, you want to be hired for some
we could have a whole lot of fun with that if you gave us all edit access. We could totally mess with your forms.
Oh my gosh. I think just Jackie would cry because she's the one who made it. Okay, so I just want to say thank you guys. We will post on the Facebook page when the attestation form is officially up and running again. I do apologize. Obviously, things are going to go wrong because it's technology and that's what happens in this world. So again, I just want to thank you all for joining us. We're looking forward to an amazing week of dynamic sessions ahead. And I think it's really awesome that even though we're all sitting in our living rooms or our outdoors or wherever we are, we're together again. And that for me is the most important thing. I have missed each and every one of you, whether or not I know you or not. And I cannot wait to hug everybody next year. I promise.
Here's to next year being in the ballroom in Saratoga Springs.
Yes. Here's to that. Well, thank you guys so much. We're going to end the session. It will be uploaded to our YouTube later today. If you wound up coming late and missed the beginning of it, and you really should, if you haven't been able to see the whole thing, you should watch in the beginning because it was really awesome. So again, thank you, Susan, from the bottom of our hearts for agreeing to do this and to share this amazing message with us. I'm so enthralled by what you talked about. So thank you.
Thank
One
you.
more thing, if you go to file, you can download it as a Word doc and then you can type into it and then you can save it and then email it to wherever the heck you said we're supposed to email it.
Fabulous.
I downloaded it and I'm gonna have Megan send it to everyone that registered, so everyone has a Word document of it.
Charlene, my office number is on that last slide. Please give it to your grandson and I will convince him to be a TR major.
Love it.
Do we put our names in the chat?
Yes,
The
put,
chat?
put your name in the chat also, and also fill out the attestation form for
In
any
the chat,
of the
right? Just
live.
put our name in the chat.
Yes, for the chat. For any of the live sessions you're going to attend over the next week, make sure that you comment at the end and you submit the attestation form every single session. Okay? Thank you. All right, everybody. Thank you so much, and hopefully we'll see you throughout the week.
Love y'all.
Be
Bye,
well,
thanks.
safe.